Want to know more about the various kinds of COVID-19 vaccines, including their side effects? What about checking the accountability of COVID-19 support funds and the management of resources by the relevant public officials and stakeholders? Then, join the Volunteers for Sustainable Development in Africa, VOSIEDA, and the government of Liberia on the Open Development Liberia show in partnership with Africa Alliance as we create massive fact-checking awareness on the various kinds of COVID-19 vaccines administered by the relevant health teams, as we also hold public items to give account of the COVID-19 support funds and supplies. The ODL show will host live radio interactions between health authorities and ordinary Liberians on the transparency and accountability surrounding COVID-19 vaccines, tests, and treatments, as it sets the pace for you to engage your public health officials and stakeholders. Join Amanda Yasia on the COVID-19 vaccines awareness campaign on this and every Thursday at 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. on ELBC Radio as we bring you informed discussions on the platform. Good evening to everyone and welcome to the 5th edition of the Open Development Liberia radio show on ELBC 99.9 and other frequencies across Liberia. Today is June 22, 2023. I am your presenter, Amanda Yasia, and I'm also here with my colleagues, Lila Bati and Abigail Zien, who are behind our cameras capturing this presentation to be uploaded on our social media platforms subsequently. The ODL radio show, which is sponsored by Africa Alliance and implemented by VOSIEDA, is brought to you every Thursday at 6 to 6:55 p.m. and the show seeks to create a massive and informed awareness about the significance of the COVID-19 vaccines, as the show seeks to facilitate interactions between health authorities, CSOs, and ordinary Liberians on the transparency and accountability surrounding the COVID-19 vaccines, a test, and a treatment. On the ODL show, we will solicit comments and questions from you, the audience. In today's presentation, we will be looking at the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the human and economic capital and the necessity of the vaccine awareness at about this time, especially in this post-COVID-19 response process in this era in Liberia. But let's take this short break. We're going to be discussing, we have also somebody right here with us from the Liberia Broadcasting System who is an ardent follower of the show. And like we said, we also, come in with ordinary people, CSO, community leaders, to form part of the show in order to share their own, experiences about the COVID-19 pandemic. So we're successful, to have with us someone from the Liberia Broadcasting System who is going to be sharing his own experience about the COVID-19 pandemic that erupted in this country some few years back now. Though we are still struggling with this virus, but we're still going to continue, the publicity issue, especially when it comes to the vaccines, awareness. We're still going to be looking at, those challenges that we had and reasons why we should, fight this particular virus to the fullest so that it can be kicked out of Liberia and out of the world. Let's take a short break. To be right back. My name is Amanda. You can join the discussion. We will be reading out our cell phone numbers so that you can be a part. Keep tuned. Open Development Liberia show on the 5th edition of the program. Today is June 22, 2023, and we are gradually going to the end of this year. Again, I'd like to say welcome to the Open Development Liberia show. We are going to be looking at the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the human and economic capitals and the necessity of the vaccine awareness in post-COVID-19 response process in Liberia. We have with us my own friend and brother, Mr. Samuel S. Belushi. I call him Belushi. He's the special project director at the Liberia Broadcasting System. Belushi, what's up? It has been quite a little while now. I've not seen you, and it's good to have you on my show today.
Oh yeah, thank you so much for giving me the invite to be on your show.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure from being here to express to Liberia and the rest of the world concerning COVID,
Okay.
the effect.
Yes. And I'm also really glad to have you on the show, like I said, because every one of us, we need to share our different experiences, we had, from the pandemic or during the pandemic. We need to share these experiences so as to give us reasons, to keep the recent declaration substantial. We should have it like this is never going to happen. We should not even pray for it. We should make sure that all of the preventive measures, are still put into place in order for us to, be able to keep this virus out of our country. So as we go into the discussion, let me just give you a little bit of research retrospect or reports that we did prior to coming on the show this evening. So I will just date it back to April to June 2020. Now, according to my research, Liberia reported its first death on April 4, that was 2020. On April 5, or the 5th of April, the German embassy, together with the European Union, organized a charter flight evacuating its citizens. On 8 April, President George Weah declared lockdown measures to take effect on April 10, and that lasted for 3 weeks, including suspension of all non-essential travel and curfews. Schools were closed across the country, and churches, mosques, bars, entertainment centers, and beaches in parts of the country. The National Public Health Institute of Liberia, NPHI, recorded a record increase in the number of confirmed cases from 14 to 31, an increase of 17 new cases. They also reported 1 death during that time. On 21st of April, Liberia's legislature wrote a resolution requiring the public to wear masks in public. Enforcement of the law was unclear. As of that date, 29 confirmed cases were healthcare workers out of 101 total confirmed cases. During the month, there were 138 new cases, and bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 141. There were 41 recoveries and 16 deaths, leaving 80 active cases at the end of the month. There were 147 new cases in May, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 288. 11 patients died, raising the total number of death toll to 27. The number of recovered patients rose by 112 to 157, leaving 104 active cases at the end of the month. That was the end of the month of May, yes. And then on the 22nd of June, President George Weah extended the state of emergency by 30 days. During the month, there were 492 new cases, talking about the state of emergency. There were 492 new cases, raising the total number of confirmed cases to 780. The death toll rose by 9 to 36. By the end of the month, 324 patients had recovered, leaving 420 active cases. Now, Liberia cases, the update as of June, which is this year, the confirmed cases of COVID-19 is 8,090. 8,090 confirmed cases. And then the death toll is from 294. The recovered, let's say survivors or people that recovered are 7,783. Now, looking at these historical facts, which are researched from Wikipedia, I want us to retrospect. Let's share our own different experiences as Liberians. What was your own challenge that you encountered as a family man, as a single parent, as couple? What was your own experience during the COVID-19 pandemic? Now, we are talking about the death tolls of COVID-19 is 294. So I was trying to do a little mathematics when it comes to that number of cases, death cases. So if you times 5 dependents by 294, we are talking about 1,470 people that got affected by the death of 294 people. So who knows the current status of those people who were affected indirectly as a result of the deaths of their relatives? Who knows where they are? Who knows as to whether some of them even died, in the process of struggling lives, for themselves as a result of the death of their fathers, their mothers, their relatives, their aunts and uncles that were caring for them, or that were, responding to the needs of the family. So these are things that we should be looking at, when we try to shun away from following the preventive measures, because we feel that it has been announced that there is no more COVID-19, or is no longer, a global health challenge. We should be looking at some of these things. But I would just go to my colleague, Belushi, in order for him to give his own thoughts, his own experience about the COVID-19 vaccine, or let's say the COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay. Thank you for giving the platform to discuss.
You're welcome.
Personally, the COVID-19. During the COVID-19, when we heard about the COVID-19, most of us, if not all of us, most of us was in a denial state.
Mm-hmm.
For the fact that we didn't believe that it would have been COVID after experiencing Ebola.
Right.
So we remain to stay in a denial state. We remain at that point until the vaccine, when they brought the vaccine, people didn't believe that they could bring vaccine, be free. No. So in taking vaccine, there were a lot of speculations. Now, if you took the vaccine, there will be a little chip in your body,
right,
so that people will be able to communicate and get all your information. So I found it difficult. If the world, because I didn't go around the world, but in Liberia, to be specific, Liberia took the wrong approach
at that time.
Up to present, you will not believe some of our good friends have not taken COVID vaccine, right, because of that perception. Because when you look at the perception index, you get people who run with negative things.
Most of the times, the negative turn to surpass the good things.
Good. So some of us took the courage. I took my vaccine right in the station here. We want to set the pace and want to encourage other people. We have people within the system, they didn't believe that COVID was around. But then we took the vaccine, and people said after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, some will pass off. But up to now, we stay here and moving strong.
Yes. And I recall, Belushi, there were people who were saying, in fact, anyone taking the COVID-19 vaccine, you're going to die after 2 years.
Yeah.
But then this vaccine had been taken by people for more than 2 years now.
2 years.
And people are still living and even looking more stronger.
So I could serve as one of the examples for taking the COVID vaccine. So again, people within the country, they believe too much wrong. Because COVID has its own advantage and disadvantages, especially at the employment side, even at the home base.
Okay.
Yeah. people at the employment side, authority in the employer of us say, COVID, you must have involved people, demonstrate social distancing,
Exactly.
so that we can be safe. So they told us we had to reduce staff. In the process of reducing staff, other people took it personally because but
Right.
we had to
like employers were targeting
yeah,
them.
so they were targeting me because of no. But we did it, and to encourage, I would let to speak on LBS because I was here and I'm still here. Reduce staff, and we created something they call lunch for those that we have, because most of us saying
Staff launched during the pandemic.
most of us saying we were double taxing.
Yeah.
If we supposed to be 5, then you have to multitask. So okay, when you encourage lunch, it reduces the stress of arguing, say I will come to work buy lunch, but then you're having free lunch and you're eating on time. 12 o'clock, you have your lunch. So it was good. On the other side, family members going home on time.
On time.
Going home on time.
Yes.
So the wifey, children were very happy seeing their father coming home 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, sometimes 2:30 we go home. You sit down, we will have conversation with our wives.
And during that time, though some people were still forcing their ways, in bars, even though government has placed a ban, on entertainment centers and other public facilities where people usually gather, but people were still doing entertainment at the comfort of their homes. Like those that had entertainment center, they took their drinks home, and their customers were still maneuvering,
follow them,
to follow them. But however, that was not really on the increase.
No.
Now, like you talked about, advantages and disadvantages, people experience during the COVID-19 era. There were reports of violence, domestic violence against women by their husbands. There were women who experienced constant brutality, abuse, harassment by their husbands, even the children. So I'm yet to do a research, but based on reports, I think that the issue of harassment and abuse against women during the COVID-19 pandemic was on the increase. Despite, the joy that other people had and other people were enjoying.
I will have a different approach to that.
Okay.
If it was domestic violence, it can be on only the female.
Yeah.
It was possible about domestic violence on male.
Exactly, you are right.
On male, so, but the male couldn't report that I'm faced with a domestic violence because it will show some weakness to him. So he can keep it to himself.
That's good.
The woman will be there, she will show her because she's a female.
Okay.
And being violent. But then the disadvantage in total was if you and your spouse are not in good terms and you have to go home soon, and then you will not be feeling fine because there's no happiness in the home. Okay. So you feel uneasy to be home. But when the happiness is there, like us that can create happiness in home, you will always be happy to be home and the children will come around, you'll have good conversation. That's the disadvantage. But the advantage is children getting used to their father, seeing, coming home, having conversation, the eating as family. That is good. That's the advantage of it.
That was good. So a lot of people, a lot of women, a lot of husbands, a lot of children became very humble during the COVID-19 pandemic. Like we usually see nowadays, our children roaming around with no restriction. During the COVID-19 pandemic, it was never like that because there was security placed in the street, to monitor the movement of people. In fact, people had time given them that by, I recall by 12 o'clock, we don't want to see anyone in the street, and you see security cars, roaming around the street and everybody. That period was looking like Liberia was mourning, because there was silence in the city.
Yeah.
You could not see people moving, head to scatter. The market women, that usually, most of the times, let's say, violate policies and mandates. Some of them, they had to, because if even you sit in the market, no one is coming to buy from you.
Yeah, so you have to give yourself first preference.
Exactly.
Now, I have to lead the group. I may not know who is carrying this vaccine.
This virus.
So I have to be careful. So you leave the street at a particular time. In fact, you said children were being careful, but adults were more careful than children because they know the effect of the vaccine.
Yeah.
Once you carry that vaccine,
The
you're going
virus.
to kill the virus. You're going to kill almost all your people. So you have to be very
You
careful.
gotta be careful.
Be careful indeed.
Exactly.
Like my friend where we living, when we talking about the vaccine, say, I will drink a yeda. Yeah. So the whole vaccine there is the whole COVID thing. I come home, I take my silver to the staff, I'm on the bed. I said, so somehow we get drunk with you, say, well, you're facing the virus. So we laugh about it. Then go back. As you rightly said, people who had the booster thing, they will carry drinks home. Trust me.
Still calling the
People
customers.
are going there, drinking,
Getting booze.
drinking happily, and sleep. Yeah.
You know, in other words, some people were like drinking to die
Yeah.
because, you know, the pandemic was, the virus was so contagious where you don't know where you can come in contact with the virus,
Yeah.
you know. For some of us, I had the opportunity to work, and because of how the virus, you know, normally get on people, sometimes maybe through the door handle or
Yeah.
through the wall or even the table or the computer that you're using in your office. So a lot of people have some belief that, okay, with this kind of situation we're faced with, let me just enjoy myself now because
And you're
it
finished.
is possible that today or tomorrow I could be normal.
So the funny thing about it, you go to the little shop to drink. While they're sitting down, you get other men, you get mask on your face, on your mouth. That's how you drinking now. He said, just leave it in there, drink it. So, yeah, but the fun, everything, all you see them sending to the place, drinking, everybody get a mask to them. Mask and tea. So I said, I'm drinking. He said, wash it, let it drink, put it back. He said, once you can't heal, you will survive. So the fun all over the places. Yeah.
That, I mean,
And to
it was serious, but it was something so ridiculous.
Yeah. And to speak on COVID again, I would like to give thanks to the GSA boss, little bro. She encouraged people to go and take the COVID by giving them lunch. I was to witness that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I went there, we were having this group of the truck to clean the streets. So we got there, she said, one of our thought to you, they show me your COVID vaccine paper. One of our thought to you. In a group, two persons said they were not taking the COVID on me. So I told them, say, gentlemen, don't spoil our operation. They just stay outside.
Father had gone to hustle.
Yeah, let's go do our thing. When we got there, I showed myself, okay, just go inside. But unfortunately, we couldn't get the truck because she said all the truck were engaged. But at least she was doing it to know who all took the COVID,
Right.
the vaccine.
Right.
So we came outside with that. So I gave her pass up for that encouragement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Mary Broad, like every one of us know, for some of us that have been in close connection with her, she's a nice person and she's a kind of person who makes things, you know, to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a go-getter. When she wants to have it done, I mean, it's done. And I hope that one of these days I'm going to have her as head of the task force, the COVID-19 task force, you know, to share with us our own experience about the virus during the time or the heat of the pandemic. Now we're looking also at the economic, you know, challenges that Liberians encounter. Not only Liberians, but the world. Now, according to research, the COVID-19 pandemic and the result of the lockdown caused 114 million people to lose their jobs in 2020. We tried to find out Liberia's own case when it comes to that. We could not just, you know, get it. But we know that there were people in Liberia that went through a lot of tough economic challenges, you know, during the heat, and even up to the time we speak, there are people who are still trying to recover from, you know, the pandemic.
Yeah, but you see, that is the difference with us African and the European people, and the developed world, so to speak. African send people home, even though you were paid, but Europe, America, and the rest of the world, they form packages for those who were home. They give them stipend to keep it up.
Yeah.
How they will get it back, I don't know, but they give some money up. Unlike us, don't work, but you take your pay.
You will take your pay.
Yeah, don't work, but you take your pay. So most people stay home, it's a headache for them to just stay home, it was a problem for them. So you could see here, they were forcing themselves to be here. They would tell you, say, oh, man, I can't stay home, man, let me just be here.
Yeah.
But how the restriction? If your name is not on the list, stay home. Stay home. So it will keep you from danger so that you can be affected with
the virus.
The virus.
And destroy your family.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the research report from the World Economic Forum stated the number that I just read of people that were victimized economically as a result of the COVID-19 lockdown. And I recalled in Liberia, there were a lot of strangulations people were going through economically. And there were people who, like we usually say, or research has proven that the average Liberian live on less than $1, per day. But that even came down to the lowest. People were barely, getting food to eat. Rice, which is our staple food, became very, very, very
difficult
scarce on the market. Palm oil, just those things that we usually pepper, all those things.
Because
just
nobody was traveling.
There was no travel.
To and for.
There was no business interaction. So those people that had things, like our system is set up most of the times when situation, comes in, you see people quickly, they take precautions for themselves, not for the citizens. So if they're selling this food for maybe $5 or USD, they skyrocket that to even $100 with passion.
So if you did that because of the struggle and difficulty to have the commodity, because you look at it, the supply, and you look at the market forces. Now, if you get pepper that's scarce, obviously you carry up high because of the virus, you carry up. I had a situation with a friend who said he would never take the vaccine. Fortunately for him, he had to travel. We keep somewhere here that be able to go to the headquarters so that he can take the vaccine and make paper for him. Because the reason he did it, if you went to Ghana, you have to demonstrate the certificate for COVID.
Right.
So you have to bring all the EFW, somewhere EFW. I remember where the head office was, and he took a vaccine, he got a paper. So I told you, why would you go through all that when you can just take it free and go? You had to pay money to take it back.
Yeah.
Why you went through all that? Yeah, why you went through all that? Yeah. So Liberians that I know of, they're very stubborn. Sometimes they become very adamant to issues and problems. So
and we are very fast to forget situations.
Yeah, you see.
And this is why we are here, and that's how now we are also behaving. Since the pronouncement by the WHO that COVID is no more, a public health emergency, a lot of people have forgotten. People are no longer following the preventive measures, even for their own lives. Yeah. Aside from COVID, there are a lot of other diseases that are very, very contagious, which people or health authorities have not told us about. But people are carrying those diseases.
Yes,
so you also need to, for your own life, you need to take preventive measures.
But if I'm hearing on the radio talking about COVID, first I was happy. Two, then I was thinking, is COVID coming back again? Yeah, because of the rainy season, is COVID coming back? So, but then this is an awareness. So we need to do it cut across.
Everyone got to be a part of it.
So that we can do this.
Right.
Because I remember talking to you that you have made it to be simulcast so that you can be able to relay to the other countries. Because if we don't do it, only Mongolia will use. If it is true COVID coming back because of the rainy season, where it become powerful, then we'll have a lot of problems on our hands.
So from statement made by the WHO, despite this particular pronouncement, but there is possibility.
Okay. So
that there could be a re-emergence of the virus. And as you and I may know, normally when there is war and there is a ceasefire, when that war starts again it becomes
intensified.
Yes, it intensifies.
Yeah.
So these are the reasons why some of us, are here ensuring that we share this awareness with people, still follow all of the preventive measures that you know of. Maybe government may not, enforce this. Government may not give you this mandate or enforce their mandate in past time. But as a person, as an adult, as a human, you need to still follow it for your own life. You need to follow it. It's very, very necessary for you. You still need to sanitize your hand. You still need to, wash your hand. Anytime you come from out, ensure that your hands, are washed from your finger to your elbow or your shoulders.
Yeah, because we have the tradition in Liberia, clearly now. For every time we meet a friend, we have a handshake. Even in the car, I saw somebody driving, and then he met crossing the road. Try to shake your hand, running to shake it, man. So we just used to shaking your hand.
I can give you a story on that. During the Liberian silver crisis, I was one of those who crossed the border to Guinea. So there I spent some of my life. And that's how the typical Guinean, identify a typical Liberian, the handshake. When a typical Liberian sees his friend or his relative or someone he knows, he must compliment that person with a handshake.
Always in a habit. So when the COVID came, we found it difficult to greet. And we start punching one another. You see a man punching. And then we say, but the next thing,
the finger, this bone, could not get penetrated easily with the virus. So we started hitting one another like this because we are people that are used to handshaking.
Worst case scenario, you see a man, you your hand at it. Yeah, get your hand.
Yes.
No problem. So we start demonstrating all of
this is the Open Development Liberia show, and I'm having Samuel Belushi right here, and he's a senior manager at the Liberia Broadcasting System. My name is Amanda Yasia, and I'm here on the Open Development Liberia show.